Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm going to make a short announcement. I think I should prepare you. I hope I'll be okay. I have a throat issue, and the doctor requested me to not speak so much. So I've tried not to speak so much today, and hopefully I'll make it through class. And but if class is a little bit shorter than usual, that's the reason, because I feel like I'm pushing it, and I'm going to just stop. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Volume 2, Chapter 4, Text 164. Uh-huh. Oh yes, this is the verse with a long purport. Okay. Itachcha vrinda vipineka hantur Vitvarbhavatsa anubhutamasti Shri Brahmana Durravati Purecha Prasada Vargeshu Maya Brahmitva. Translation. Shri Brahma perceived this truth when he stole Krishna's boys and calves in the forest of Vrindavan. And I realized it while wandering among his many palaces in the city of Dwarka. Commentary. Narada now strengthens his presentation by citing the personal experiences of self-realized authorities, namely himself and his father, Lord Brahma. As described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma stole Krishna's young cowherd friends and calves. The one Supreme Lord Krishna then expanded himself into the forms of all the boys and calves just to keep their mothers happy, the gopis and the cows. 1 year later, Brahma returned and saw each of the boys and calves suddenly assume the form of Lord Vishnu. I'm going to stop here for now and speak a little bit instead of reading the whole long commentary. Om Jnana Timirandasya Garanjana Salakaya Chaksho Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Mangayate Garim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurundina Taranam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm sorry. I'll try. I'm not sick. It's an injury. And so don't worry about me being sick. I have no fever. I have nothing. It's just it's just an injury I did in my throat. So, last verse was that the one Lord of Vaikuntha, Shri Krishna, resides in various places and appears in many forms, just to give pleasure to all his multitude of servants. We have discussed this point many times, and I believe last time we spoke about how Krishna is both avatara and avatari, and how he is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He is the original source of all other manifestations. And we spoke about common misunderstanding of how Lord Narayan is sometimes taken to be the original supreme and how Krishna is an expansion from him. And we cited different references such as that which is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and other places as well. And the purpose behind that explanation was to make it clear that just as the analogy was given before of the sun being reflected in many places and seen in many places in its reflection, that is cannot be used in any way analogous to Krishna and the way he manifests in his expansions, because with the example of the sun and the reflections, they are temporary reflections. If there's no pot, if there's no water, there's no reflection. But, or if the pot's broken, whatever the case may be. uh, but Krishna, his expansions are all Sat, Chit, and Ananda. They're all eternal, and they're always eternally manifest in their various abodes with his associates, his entourage, and his abode, and he himself. And that is the regular point which is being brought to light in many of these verses. In today's verse, Narada Muni is saying that Brahma, his father, perceived this truth when he stole Krishna's boys and calves in the forest of Vrindavan, and I realized it while wandering among his many palaces in the city of Dwarka. What was the truth that Lord Brahma perceived? The truth was that when Krishna assumed the different bodies of the cowherd boys and calves for 1 year, they were all as revealed after 1 year had passed, they were all Krishna. Not that they were mirror expansions like example is given, like Salbhari Rishi. He can expand himself in different ways, but no, each and every one of these different expansions was a full manifestation of Krishna. I believe we've discussed before about the different Prakash manifestations of the Lord. And therefore, this pastime is of the Brahma-mohana Lila is talked about here in this purport. What is it that, what was the reason behind this pastime? And we have, of course, the verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam and commentaries, but also we have the commentaries of acharyas, such as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sanatana Goswami, and Jiva Goswami, who in their commentaries have elaborated in various ways that actually Lord Brahma, although it's described, was testing Krishna. I believe it was, I can't remember which of the acharyas, but one of them. They explained that actually Lord Brahma, he had just seen a very wonderful event, and that was the killing of Aghasura. And because he had seen the killing of Aghasura, he watched it happen, how Krishna killed Aghasura. Lord Brahma was also thinking how he would like to see more sweet pastimes of the Lord. And therefore, because he had that desire, Yogamaya facilitated that by encouraging Lord Brahma to steal the cowherd boys, and which he was thinking that he could perform some very wonderful activity, and he was thinking that maybe Krishna will come and ask him, where are the boys? Or Krishna may interact with him in some particular way. And it's described that there were different reasons why the Brahma-mohana Lila took place. That was one of them, which was Lord Brahma's desire to see more of the Lord's sweet pastimes. And it was also the desire, which is indicated here so far that we've read in the purport, in the commentary, to facilitate the desire of the gopis and the cows. Not only was Krishna feeling, somebody has their hand raised, and it's probably because they're not hearing any Russian. And maybe Sankarshan Datai, maybe one more time, you might want to tell them that there won't be any Russian today, and I'll give you a chance just to state that. Oh, you can't. I can see that you're either you're not there or you're muted, one or the other. So, anyways, one reason was to satisfy Lord Brahma. Another reason was that the elderly gopis and the cows, they were seeing how wonderful it was, that especially the elderly gopis, they were thinking how they would like to be able to have a similar type of relationship to that which was, they were witnessing that Mother Jasoda had with Krishna. And they had a desire within their hearts to experience that opportunity. And therefore also this whole Leela took place so that Krishna could become their son. and get the opportunity to offer, as they would their son, to offer their own breast milk to who they thought was their son, but it was Krishna. And same with the cows. The cows also were given that opportunity to offer milk instead to their calves, but Krishna became their calves, and the cows were therefore. And not only that, but another reason why this pastime took place is because Krishna himself wanted to relish reciprocating with their desires for that mood of service. So, because Krishna was wanting to relish that personally with all the elderly gopis and with all the cows, therefore, it was another reason why this whole pastime took place. It was an opportunity for Krishna to give them that opportunity for that parental affection which they were so eager to display towards Krishna. Now, of course, they didn't know it. It was Krishna, but it was Krishna. They didn't know it, and nobody else knew it either. And as described once before, even Balaram, he didn't know it also until just a few days before it was Krishna revealed that he had become the cowherd boys and the calves, because Balaram was becoming a little suspicious, and his suspicion was based on the fact that he saw the cows displaying an unusually increased amount of affection for their calves, and he saw the cowherd men displaying also that when all the cows were running down the hill in order to give the milk to the calves, and the cowherd men somehow they also weren't disturbed, and they immediately came down and they picked up, although they should have been angry at their sons, they weren't at the least bit angry, but they picked up their sons and held them and embraced them in loving paternal affection. And somehow it seemed to Lord Balaram that this display of affection was somehow increased in comparatively to the way he had seen it displayed before, and he became suspicious. And of course, then we also described once before how the influence of Yogamaya had arranged things in such a way that she gradually removed her covering so that Balaram could gradually fully understand. And as Jiva Goswami speaks about, he came right out and said to his brother, "Brother, are they you?" And they had a discussion about that, and everything was confirmed in the discussion. And then Krishna, when Brahma returned, and because Brahma had gone away, I can't remember, I think it was Jiva Goswami who said that Lord Brahma was gone for only a second, but it was actually a whole year. And one of the acharyas explained that Lord Brahma, he actually returned to Brahmaloka and then came back again. And it was a certain amount of time passing in Brahmaloka, but the whole event was just momentary. And then when he came back, he saw all the cowherd boys and calves doing everything as if they weren't taken, and he became very bewildered by this. And not only that, but also Krishna also displayed his pastime, even though he knew exactly where the cowherd boys and calves were. When Brahma returned, he saw that somehow at some point in time he saw that Krishna was looking for them. And then, and there's another very interesting point in this pastime, and it's not so clearly described, but I found it's in the Jiva Goswami's commentary of a verse in Brahma's prayers. No, excuse me, it's Sanatana Goswami's commentaries. And he says something here that, and I wanted to make sure I understood it properly, because I took it in a certain way, and then I checked in Shiva Ramaraj's Navavraja Mahima. He also confirmed the same thing, only he presented in a more elaborate way. And I'll read you what I read. And this is Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Vaishnava Toshani. And he says that he took the calves and boys, he meaning Brahma, took the calves and boys from one place or from where they were situated to another place, or placed them elsewhere. This was for testing the Lord. This was an external appearance seen by Brahma, who was put in illusion. And the footnote is also that Brahma is not qualified to even touch the cowherd boys. So, with that understanding, the point is, and as I understood it, and as also I saw elsewhere confirmed, is that there were 3 sets of cowherd boys and calves. One set were the original cowherd boys and calves. Another set were the cowherd boys and calves which Yogamaya created to make Brahma think that he stole the cowherd boys and calves. And that set was the set of cowherd boys and calves that he put into the cave. Because Brahma is not qualified to even touch the cowherd boys. So how could he take them if he can't even touch them? So Yogamaya, or through her agency of Mahamaya, I believe it's also explained, created another set of cowherd boys and calves, and that's who Brahma put into the cave. And someone will immediately say, well, what happened to the original cowherd boys and calves? What happened to the original cowherd boys and calves is Yogamaya just covered them, covered everyone. And they were just sitting and waiting for Krishna to come back, because it was just like a moment for them. And they were just sitting and waiting for Krishna to come back, because they were sitting there with all the food, and they were waiting. They didn't want to eat without Krishna, because Krishna had in the palm of his hand, he took some yogurt and some rice, and when he left to look for the cowherd boys and calves, they all had their lunches, and they said, let's wait for Krishna to come back. And Yogamaya arranged it in such a way that nobody else, not even not even Balaram, knew that they were sitting and waiting for Krishna to come back. And it was just a moment anyways. And then, of course, for the year that passed, what happened was that Krishna became all the cowherd boys and calves, and then they would go out to the pasturing grounds every day. They would return every day, and their mothers would take them, put them on their laps, embrace them, offer them their breast milk, and the cows the cows would come, and every night returning from the pasturing grounds, and they did this for one continuous year. And that was, of course, they were all Krishna, expansions of Krishna, non-different from Krishna, as Krishna later revealed when Lord Brahma returned and showed all of these wonderful forms. These four-arm forms, as we described before previously, the manifested four-arm forms, they all had Srivatsa, and not only that, there's a very detailed description, which is also in today's verse in the commentary, which I haven't read yet, but as a very detailed description of how, of everything else, I should say, that Krishna revealed to Brahma when he revealed himself in those forms. It was a lot more than just the four-arm Vishnu forms. We're going to read that. That's coming up in today's commentary. So there's a lot there, but the reason why I wanted to add those additional details is because it's in relationship to what was mentioned already, that the Supreme Lord expanded himself into all these forms of boys and calves to make their mothers happy, to make who are the gopis and the cows, and as we say, not only to make them happy, but to make them really happy because they got the opportunity to have Krishna as their son, and they got the opportunity to do exactly what they were meditating on, which was to offer their affection, motherly affection, in ways that only mothers do, which was by offering their breast milk to their son. So, and Krishna also, he wanted to relish that. He wanted to relish that because he wants so much to reciprocate the moods of the devotees. This is a point that we've brought out again and again and again. So this was also accomplished in the Brahma-mohana Leela. And he also wanted to satisfy Lord Brahma, who said, I'd like to see some more sweet pastimes. So it was actually Yogamaya who induced Lord Brahma to steal, quote, steal the cowherd boys and calves. She induced him to do so. And of course, Lord Brahma, he ended up learning a very significant and wonderful point, which enhanced his realization of the Lord's glories. And that's what's going to come out further in this commentary. So now I will continue reading the commentary to today's verse. No one should think that the original form of Krishna was real, and his expanded forms as boys and calves were mere reflections produced by Maya. Brahma's own perception contradicts that idea. And he quotes a verse. The verse is quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vishnu Murtis all had eternal, unlimited forms, full of knowledge and bliss, existing beyond the influence of time. Their great glory was not even touched by the Gyanis engaged in studying the Upanishads. That's Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 13th chapter, 58th verse. As this incident confirms, the Supreme Lord is always real, whether he be one or many. Brahma thus prayed to Lord Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 14, 18, after being baffled in his attempt to fool Krishna. I'm not going to read the Sanskrit. Have you not shown me today that both you, yourself, and everything within this creation are manifestations of your inconceivable potency? First you appeared alone, and then you manifested yourself as all of Vrindavan's calves, and as the cowherd boys, your friends. Next, you appeared as an equal number of four-handed Vishnu forms, who were worshipped by all living beings, including me. And after that, you appear as an equal number of complete universes. Finally, you have now returned to your unlimited form as the Supreme Absolute Truth, one without a second. This is one verse. That was one verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 13th chapter. I think it's verse 54, not 58. I think it's a mistake. Uh, in other words, Brahma that day asked Lord Krishna whether Krishna had not indeed shown him the illusory nature of the material world. Krishna is personally present in this world created by Maya, which is insubstantial like a dream or a flight of fancy. And he displays himself within this world of Maya in not only one, but many different forms. But that day, by disguising himself as his cowherd friends and calves, Krishna made Brahma see the world as if Krishna were not present, even though he always is. I want to read a commentary. This is from Jiva Goswami, his commentary of this verse that we just quoted. And the reason why I want to read it, is because it will help explain what we just read. And I will also try to help explain. What Brahma is essentially saying, he said, he was asking the Lord, have you just shown me your illusory nature? And the reason why he was referring to that, because previous to everything he just saw, he wasn't seeing Krishna. And then all of a sudden, he saw everything as Krishna. And by seeing everything as Krishna, his understanding was, I wasn't seeing you. Why? Why wasn't I seeing you? And and if we see it that way, then we'll understand that if we don't see everything connected to Krishna, it's the same thing that was told to Brahma in the 4 essential verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, "O Brahma, that whatever you see of any value, if it's not connected to me, you should know it's my illusory energy, or that reflection which appears in the darkness." That's what Krishna revealed to Brahma previously. If you see something and don't see it's connected to me, and if you see it's valuable, why are you seeing it valuable? You're seeing it valuable because, obviously, because you think there's some value in relationship to yourself. But everything has value because it's connected to Krishna. But if you see its value and you don't see it's connected to me, then what you're seeing is my illusory energy. Because the only way of seeing everything is connected to Krishna. And that's what makes it valuable. So in essence, Brahma is saying the same thing. Brahma is saying, you just showed me how everything is your potencies. But I didn't see that before. And therefore, you must have showed me your illusory potency. Because I didn't see. And now I'm seeing. And your potency is... Now I'm going to read Jiva Goswami's elaboration of this essential point, which I've tried to at least encapsulate. Now, in Jiva Goswami's commentary to 10:14, 18. Oh yes, 10:14, 18. I'm sorry. It's the wrong verse I quoted before. 10:14, 18. He says, first he says, let us forget Yasoda's realization. I guess he must be saying that because it's something similar that happened to Yasoda when she saw in Krishna's mouth how everything was there inside Krishna's mouth. So he's saying, let's set that aside. Let's talk about this one. He said, let us forget Yasoda's realization. Let us speak of today. The word Twat refers to the direct form of the Lord, represented by the calves and boys who became the four-armed forms as described in the following statements. In other words, those boys, those calves, were Krishna's forms. They were Krishna. So, and then they became four-armed forms, as described in the following statements. Purovad abdam kridantam dadrishe sakalam harim. Krishna was engaged just as before in playing with the boys and calves who were his expansions. And then, while Brahma looked on, all the calves and boys tending them immediately appeared to have complexions the color of bluish rain clouds and to be dressed in yellow silken garments. The word asya refers to living beings other than what was mentioned above. In other words, Krishna saw all the cowherd boys and calves. Then, Brahma saw all the cowherd boys and calves. Then he saw all these four-armed Vishnu forms with colors of bluish rain clouds, complexion, dressed in yellow silken garments. And then the word asya refers to living beings other than what was mentioned above. Who were they? These forms were worshipped, these forms meaning the expansions, they were being worshipped by the presiding deities of all moving and non-moving beings, including Brahma, and with many items, such as singing and dancing, according to their respective capacities and ingredients. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto. Not only that, but the personifications of time, the ability to transform impressions, desire, karma, the gunas, names and forms, whose powers were dwarfed by Vishnu's powers, they were standing there worshiping these forms. Brahma saw the cowherd boys and calves. Then he saw the Vishnu forms, bluish complexion, yellow garments. Then he saw unlimited universes. And each one of those universes, the Lord in that Vishnu form was being worshipped. Worshipped by all these presiding deities, moving and non-moving beings, even non-moving beings. Not only that, but Brahma was there himself. Just as Mother Jasoda, she saw Krishna holding, she saw in her mouth, she saw her holding Krishna on her lap. Brahma saw also, he saw himself worshiping the Vishnu, but not just himself. All the other Brahmas in all the other universes were there. And they were also not just the Brahmas, but presiding deities, demigods. They were all worshiping this form and personifications of time, the ability to transform impressions, desire, karma, the gunas. In other words, he was seeing material nature. The material nature, which is, of course, Krishna's expansion of his energy, the material nature. Krishna says, Etadyonini bhutani savahityapadharya. All that is material, all that is spiritual, you should know in both its origin and its dissolution. Aham savasya prabhavo matak savapravatite. I'm the source of the material and spiritual worlds. Everything's emanating from me. The wise who know this perfectly, they engage in my devotional service. They worship me. He saw everything. And he said, and he's saying that you showed me everything and how it's all connected to you. And I didn't see it before. Therefore, you showed me the power of your illusory energy. I didn't see it. I'll go on. In the commentary, there's a little more. Sakamaya, word sakamaya means that the Lord was worshipped by himself. Himself means Brahma. And also by the whole universe where he, Brahma, lived. Other than your form, the forms of the calves and boys, and the four-armed forms of Vishnu, was not everything else I saw, whose glories were defeated by your powers, some creation of Maya? Yes, everything was defeated. Then he describes what he saw. Krishna, the boys and calves, and the four-armed forms, everything both Maya and non-Maya that I saw was your form alone, the perfect Brahman, perfect Brahman. So first he asked the question, was it some creation of Maya? Then he describes what he saw. He saw the boys, the calves, the four-armed forms, and everything, both Maya and non-Maya that I saw was your form alone, the perfect Brahman. This surpasses mere Brahman. Brahmadvayam Shishite means that the Brahman, famous in the scriptures, cannot be compared to the Brahman standing before me. In other words, what Brahma said in his verse, he said that I saw everything And then I saw everything enter into you, the one, undivided, without a second, you standing before me. And then this is explained in Nastanatopi Parasyo Bhaya Lingam Savatrahi, which is a quote from the Brahma Sutra. The Lord, though situated in two different places, does not undergo change because he exists everywhere simultaneously. Brahma Sutra 3211. And Brahma himself says, how greatly fortunate are Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd men, and all the other inhabitants of Rajabhumi. There is no limit to your good fortune, because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahman, has become their friend. That is the end of Jiva Goswami's commentary of the verse, which essentially is just increasing support of the same concept that everything's coming from Krishna. And everything is an expansion of his different energies. And yet, we should always also understand, although it's an expansion of his energies, still, as we cited before, we should be very careful to not always emphasize the oneness, and also, as Lord Chaitanya has taught us, so to make sure that we understand there's also a difference. And we have to see the difference too between that which is eternal and that which is temporary. And that which is Krishna, and that's his internal potency, and that which is his external potency. Although they're both emanations coming from him, they are seen as simultaneously one, the same, because there's no difference between the entity and the energetic source, but different. So, nonetheless, the forms that Lord Brahma saw, they were non-different. The expansions of the universes, the demigods, the Brahmas, the personifications of time, the modes, names, and forms, they were Krishna's expansion of Krishna's external energy, although ultimately coming from him. So let's finish Brahma-mohana Lila. There's not much left to the commentary. And next time we'll hear about Dwarka Lila, which is also another evidence that Narada Muni will give of the same concept, which is that Narada Muni, interestingly, he goes into every palace. He was very intrigued. He wanted to see how Krishna was manifest in every palace, 16,108 palaces, and they were all Krishna himself. And there is a nice commentary also by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, where he describes that Narada Muni visited all the palaces in a moment. In a moment. And he said not only did he see Krishna in all those different palaces, doing different things at different times of the day, but he also saw many manifestations of Uddhava, also in the different palaces, which was evidence, as we've described before, that not only does Krishna expand, but he gives that potency to his devotees to also expand. And therefore, in many of the different palaces, he wasn't there in all the palaces, but in many of the palaces Narada Muni visited, Uddhava was there also, and other, of course, the different queens. They're also, although they have different personalities, of the 16,108 queens, they're all expansions. They're all expansions of Radharani. They're her Kaya Vyuha. She expands as the gopis in Goloka, as the queens of Dwarka, and they're all simultaneously manifest in all of these different palaces, and they're all, and as Narada Muni is going to bring out in another verse, they're all serving Krishna his meals in different places, and each one of them is thinking that she's alone with Krishna, and she's thinking that she's the first to feed Krishna on that day, and and in this way, Krishna, and as Sanatana Goswami will explain in the purport, or no, will he explain, or did he explain? I think he will explain. I haven't read it yet. Oh no, yeah, I haven't read it yet. He'll explain that Krishna wouldn't manifest in an expansion, and a temporary expansion just to satisfy them, because, and the word that's used is, they would feel cheated. They would feel cheated. They want Krishna. Krishna had to give himself. So he was there personally in each of those palaces. And let's continue. That's next class. I'm just simply introducing the topic that's coming up in the rest of this commentary that I haven't started reading yet. So every form Krishna assumes is real because he and his expansions, every form Krishna assumes is real because he and his expansions are the supreme absolute truth. First, Brahma saw Krishna alone, then in the form of all the cowherd boys and calves, and these then became four-armed Vishnu forms, worshipped by all the beings of creation, subtle and gross, including Brahma. Brahma saw as many Vishnus as there were boys and calves, and each Vishnu was being served by all the causal elements and visible objects of the entire universe. In effect, then, Brahma saw a universe for each boy and each calf. And finally, he saw only the unlimited supreme, one without a second, as all the forms of Vishnu merged back into one, leaving only Krishna. He saw that. Imagine. He saw that. Why did Krishna let him see that? Obviously, to show Brahma what a fool he was in trying to think that he was some great mystic who could steal his cowherd boys and calves. And so finally he saw only the unlimited supreme, one without a second, as all the forms of Vishnu merged back into him, leaving only Krishna, the supreme Brahman. Lord Brahma realized that all these appearances were equivalent, since they were all untouched by the illusion of Maya and her energies. Okay, finished. I'm not going to chant japa. I'll end here, and next class on Monday, we'll continue the commentary, and we'll hear about Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka with the queens of Dwarka. And we'll also, there, as I said, many commentaries are given in these different, especially Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and explaining this. I think this is, what chapter is it? 69th chapter of 10th canto. So any commentaries that we have from the 69th chapter of the 10th canto are going to be simply that which was given by these acharyas anyways. So we'll end here. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And we'll see some of you tomorrow, and the rest of you, hopefully we'll see you on Monday, and hopefully this medication that I'm using to numb my throat will improve so that I can at least chant some japa with all of you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki.